Okay, so Candace, speaking of Wilder World, I'm thinking it's time. It's time. It's time for
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say what it was, but no, it's time for Axie Infinity.
Yay!
All right. So last week we were talking a little bit about how do you make money in these games, and I mentioned about the Axie Infinity in the Philippines. So I was asked just to bring a little bit of information about that. So I have. So we'll start off really, really basic first. So Axie Infinity, this is a game that's been running since March of 2018. So it's been around for quite a while. It's a trading and battling game. So if you look up in the top in the menu bar, you'll see these the three purples and the three greenish things. Those are called Axies, and they're a team. So you have a team of three, and the other player has a team of three, and it's like a strategic battle game, almost like playing cards. So it's a very complicated game, and it's hard to master, but that's what it is in a nutshell. So some of the things you can do in here, you can collect Axies, you can breed Axies, you can raise Axies, battle them and trade them as well. So that's some of the activities that you, of course, do within the game.
Can I ask you a question at this point? Is that not like what Pokemon used to be? Like, didn't you?
It is. It is inspired from Pokemon. That's one of the inspirations for the games. Absolutely. But where Pokemon was just cards, these Axies are represented in game as an NFT.
Okay.
So here's the question. How do you make money?
Yes.
So the first thing you can do is you can farm and sell SLPs. So SLPs are called Smooth Love Potions. So they're an item in the game.
Ryan likes the love potion. Love potion number 9.
I know. Well, anyway, these are an item in the game, and they're required to breed Axies.
Oh,
so if you remember one of the activity,
potion.
Yeah, I guess they just can't get their groove on without some love potions.
Wow.
And you can farm these SLPs by battling monsters, players, or completing all of their daily missions and quests. So that's the main thing that people are grinding in this game are these smooth love potions, and they're able to sell them and make quite a bit of money off of them.
I wonder if it's like a drug that you sell in real life.
If they're addicted to gaming, probably.
Maybe. I mean, probably. But here's the thing. Another big way to make money is by breeding rare Axies. And what do you need to breed rare Axies? Smooth love potions.
Amazing. This is like Neil's horse racing game.
Kind of. It's a little bit like it, just a slightly different version. So when you breed rare Axies, you're basically breeding two Axies. The offspring is going to have traits from both of the two parents. And the average offspring sells for about $200.
Wow.
Now, the most expensive one to date has sold for $130,000. And this is American. These numbers are all in American. So you can make quite a bit of money breeding if you get lucky. So in a way, it's a little bit like playing the lottery, because obviously every birth is probably a less than desirable Axie. And you can also stake the AXS, which is the main token for Axie Infinity. So you can stake that to get a reward as well. So those are the main ways you make money. So let's talk about what happened in the Philippines. So at the beginning of the human malware event, or the beginning of the lockdowns, many of the Filipino folk, they discovered Axie Infinity, and they began to earn to offset their lost wages. Because unlike Canada, they had no real supports from the government. So they kind of were left out in the cold. So that's one of the ways they started to make some money. At the highest point in Axie Infinity, we had 60% of Axie Infinity players from the Philippines. So we're talking about a lot of people. Now, the average player is actually making about $400 a month. That's American. Now, that's not a lot. If you consider the minimum wage is about $7 a month in the Philippines, so that works out to $1,120 a month. So they're not making a lot, but that's the average player. The higher elite players were making significantly more. Some of them were making insane money. And especially when you look at something called scholars. So with scholars, and I've mentioned this before in one of the Metaverse top 10s, what a scholar is it's basically a person who will teach people how to be a better player, or they will even let them use some of their axes so that they have better axes to fight with. In exchange for teaching people how to play, they then take a small portion of everything you make. So that might be like, 15% of what you're making. So that's one of the ways that you can significantly start bringing more income in. And that's really interesting. There was one guy in the Philippines, and he made a big splash because from paying Axie Infinity, he had purchased a big luxury house, and then he posted all about it. So there's money there to be made. However, and this is kind of where this kind of comes into, enough people have been making big money in the Philippines that the government is kind of trying to find some kind of way to tax them. They've even been reaching out to the SEC in the US to say, come on, let's start declaring crypto as either money or security so that we can actually look at some kind of a tax option for them. So that hasn't happened yet, of course, but that is something that they were looking at. And here's the other problem, though. There is one problem with this whole system, is that if you're trying to make your living off of a wage, when crypto has a downtime, well, so do their wages. So there are a lot of people who are at the big, in the middle of the summer when crypto was making, when crypto was doing really well, a lot of people were making half decent money doing this gaming. Now, while we're on a bit of a downtrend, these people are just not making as much money. So that's kind of the whole idea. And this is an older game. So with a lot of the newer games in the metaverse, some of the money is even bigger than this. But this is just the one that we've have the most information on at this point.
That was awesome, Candace.